My daughter, I brought your favorite food for you. Who is your daughter? Are you blind or something? Don't you know your daughter when you see her?
What are you saying? I am your mother. Why are you treating me like this?
Old lady, I don't know you. I can never be your child. Get out of here.
She called her own mother a maid in front of everyone at her graduation, but seconds later, the truth she had brought her to her knees. Amara stood in front of the cracked mirror in their small house, adjusting her school uniform with careful hands. She was beautiful, the kind of beautiful that made people stop and look twice. Her eyes were bright, her smile was sharp, and her chin was always lifted high, as if she was already someone important. But behind that beauty lived a secret she carried like a heavy stone on her chest. A secret she had been hiding for years. And today, like every other day, she prayed no one would find out who she really was. She prayed no one would see where she came from. She prayed no one would see her mother. Outside, the sound of morning filled the air. Pots clanging. Neighbors calling to each other. And then, her mother's voice, warm and sweet like fresh bread. Amara. Amara, come and eat before you go. Her mother, Mama Nkechi, was already awake. She was always awake before the sun. She had cooked a pot of porridge, stirred it slowly with tired hands, and set it on the table with a clean spoon. Mama Nkechi was a market woman. She sold vegetables, pepper, and small provisions from a wooden store that had seen better days. Her clothes were faded. Her shoes were worn. Her hands were rough from years of hard work. But her eyes always shone with love whenever she looked at Amara. Amara walked to the table slowly, looked at the food, and pushed it aside. I'm not hungry, she said coldly. Mama Nkechi blinked. But you haven't eaten since last night, she said softly. Amara, please, you need strength for school. Amara grabbed her school bag and turned away. Mama, please don't embarrass me when you come to the school gate today. Actually. She paused, lowering her voice like she was saying something shameful. Don't come at all. I'll find my way home. Mama Nkechi's smile slowly faded. She stood there holding the spoon, watching her daughter walk away. She did not cry. She simply whispered to herself, one day, she will understand. And she went back to stirring the pot, alone. That evening at school, Amara was laughing loudly with her friends in the most expensive corner of the classroom. Her friends believed she came from a wealthy home. She had told them her father was a successful businessman who traveled a lot. She had told them her mother was a well-dressed, educated woman who attended charity events and drove a big car. Every word was a lie. Every single word. But she had practiced those lies so many times that they felt like the truth. And when her friend Kamika said, Amara, your mom must be so proud of you, Amara smiled her sharper smile and said, of course. She's always proud. That's just who she is. And somewhere across town, Mama Nkechi was closing her market stall, counting small coins, and whispering a quiet prayer for her daughter. Before we continue, if you love emotional stories like this that teach real-life lessons, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Nobody in school knew the truth. But back in the village, everyone knew Mama Nkechi. They knew her strength. They knew her kindness. They knew how she woke up before sunrise every single morning to prepare for the market. They knew how she skipped meals so Amara could eat. They knew how she borrowed money when school fees were due, and paid it back in small amounts over months. Old Mama Chioma, who sold tomatoes beside her store, would often shake her head and say, that woman loves that child too much. Too much for her own good. And the other market women would nod slowly, because they all saw what Amara refused to see. There was a time, when Amara was in her first year at the big school in the city, that she called home crying. She said her shoes had torn and the other girls were laughing at her. That same night, Mama Nkechi walked 3 kilometers to the next town to borrow money from her cousin. She sent the money first thing the next morning with a bus driver she trusted. She did not eat lunch that day, or the next. But when Amara received the money and bought new shoes, she did not call to say thank you. She simply sent a short message, "Got it." Mom Nkechi read that message 5 times. And then she smiled, because her daughter had new shoes, and that was enough. There was another time Amara came home for the holiday and brought a friend with her. She had not told Mom Nkechi she was bringing anyone. The house was small and messy, the walls were peeling, and the ceiling fan made a loud noise. Amara walked in, looked around, and immediately felt the familiar shame rise in her chest. Her friend looked around too, curious, not unkind. But Amara could not bear it. She quickly said, "Our housekeeper lives here. Our real house is being renovated." Mom Nkechi came out of the kitchen smiling, wiping her hands on her wrapper. Amara's eyes went cold. "This is the housekeeper," Amara said flatly, without looking at her mother. Mom Nkechi's smile did not fall. She greeted the friend warmly, offered them food, and said nothing. That night, when the friend was asleep, Mom Nkechi sat in the dark and cried quietly into her wrapper. Not from anger. From love that had nowhere to go. What made Mom Nkechi truly special was that she never stopped. After every cold word from Amara, after every rejection, after every moment of shame, she still woke up the next morning and loved her daughter with everything she had. The village people saw it. The women at the market saw it. Even the children who ran past her stall saw it. But Amara did not see it. Amara was too busy running away from the truth to stop and look at the woman who had given her life. It was a Tuesday morning when the school made the announcement. The deputy headmistress stood before the assembly with a wide smile and a printed sheet of paper. "Students," she said, her voice full of ceremony, "in 4 weeks, we will hold our graduation ceremony. This year, it will be a very special event. Each student must arrive with their parent or guardian. Parents will be publicly recognized on stage. There will be photographs, certificates, and a moment where every family is celebrated together." The hall filled with excited noise, students whispering, clapping, buzzing with happiness. Amara did not clap. She stood completely still. Her face had gone pale. Around her, her friends were already chatting about what their mothers would wear, how proud their fathers would be, what they would all eat at the dinner afterwards. Kayameka grabbed Amara's arm. "This is so exciting. I can't wait for everyone to meet your mom. She sounds amazing." Amara forced a laugh. "Yes," she said. "Amazing." But inside, her heart was falling. Because she knew that her real mother could never stand in that hall. Not with her faded wrapper. Not with her rough hands. Not with her worn-out shoes and her simple village way of speaking. It would destroy everything. That night, Amara could not sleep. She lay in her hostel bed staring at the ceiling, her mind racing. She thought about the ceremony. She thought about the photographs. She thought about her friends seeing Mom Nkechi and whispering to each other. She imagined them laughing. She imagined the looks on their faces. And she could not bear it. She could not bear the thought of a carefully built world collapsing in a single afternoon. So she made a decision. A cold, terrible, calculated decision. She picked up her phone and called an old contact, a woman named Mrs. Beatrice, who was known to be elegant, well-spoken, and always willing to do anything for money. "Mrs. Beatrice," Amara said quietly when the call connected. "I need your help. I need you to come to my graduation as my mother." There was a brief silence on the line. Then Mrs. Beatrice asked, "And your real mother?" Amara closed her eyes. "She won't be there," she said. "Just prepare yourself. I'll pay you well. Just act the part." Mrs. Beatrice agreed. And Amara lay back on her pillow, feeling a strange mix of relief and something darker, something she could not name yet. Something heavy that sat just behind her heart. Over the next 2 weeks, Amara prepared Mrs. Beatrice like she was preparing an actress for a film. She sent her voice notes, coaching her on what to say and how to say it. Speak slowly. Use big words. Don't say you sell anything. Say you manage a business. She sent her photographs of the school so she would know the layout. She told her exactly what to wear: a fitted dress, a handbag, heeled shoes, simple jewelry. She rehearsed conversations with her over the phone. If anyone asks where we live, say we live in the estate. If they ask about my father, say he's traveling for work. Mrs. Beatrice listened, practiced, and nodded. At the same time, Amara called her real mother. Mama Nkechi picked up on the first ring, the way she always did, because she always kept her phone close whenever Amara might call. Amara. My daughter. How are you? Are you eating well? I have been praying for you every morning, Mama. Amara cut her short. Her voice was flat and firm. I'm calling about the graduation. Mama Nkechi's voice lifted. Yes. Oh, I have been thinking about it. I am going to wear my best ankara and I will come early. I want to sit in the front. Mama, stop. Silence. Mama, the school is very strict this year. Only certain guests are allowed in. I've already submitted names. Your name wasn't submitted. Another silence. Longer this time. What do you mean? Mama Nkechi asked slowly. Her voice was careful now, the way a person speaks when they are trying not to cry. It means you can't come, Amara said. There's no space. I'm sorry. A long, painful pause. Then Mama Nkechi said softly, but I am your mother. I know, Mama. But the school has rules. It was a lie. The most painful lie Amara had ever told. And she heard it land, heard the small sharp sound her mother made, like a breath that had been cut short. Okay, Mama Nkechi said finally. Okay, my daughter. I understand. She did not argue. She did not accuse. She simply said okay, because she always chose her daughter's peace over her own pain. That night, Mama Nkechi sat in her small house and cried the kind of tears that don't make noise. She cried for all the mornings she had woken up early. For all the meals she had skipped. For all the coins she had counted in the dark. She cried not because she was angry, but because her heart was breaking quietly, the way old wood breaks, slowly, from the inside. But even as she cried, she whispered one thing into the silence: I will still come. I will just stand far. I just want to see her face when they call her name. And she folded her best wrapper neatly and placed it by the door, ready for graduation day. Graduation morning came like a celebration dressed in sunlight. The school compound was decorated with banners and flowers. Parents arrived in clean clothes and bright colors, some in big cars, some in smaller ones, all of them smiling and proud. Students ran to hug their families. There were tears and photographs and the kind of joy that makes a place feel alive. The hall was filling up fast, and the air was thick with perfume, music, and excitement. Amara arrived with Mrs. Beatrice at exactly 9 o'clock. Mrs. Beatrice looked the part perfectly: elegant dress, good shoes, a leather handbag, and a calm, practiced smile. She held Amara's arm gently, nodding at people with the confidence of a woman who belonged. Amara walked beside her with her back straight and her chin up, smiling at everyone, introducing Mrs. Beatrice as my mother with such ease that no one questioned it. Kayameka ran over immediately. Mrs. Amara's mom. We have heard so much about you. Mrs. Beatrice smiled warmly. All good things, I hope, she said smoothly. Amara exhaled. It was working. Everything was going perfectly. Then she saw her. Across the compound, standing quietly near the back of the crowd, was Mama Nkechi. She had worn her best ankara, the one with the green and gold pattern that she had owned for years. She had oiled her face, tied her head wrap neatly, and polished her old shoes until they shone. She stood there among the crowd, small and still, looking at the entrance with hopeful eyes. And on her hands and neck, faint but visible, were the old burn scars she had carried for years. She was not trying to enter the hall. She was just there. Just watching. Just hoping to see her daughter's face when they called her name. Amara saw her and froze. Every muscle in her body went stiff. Her smile disappeared. Her heart hammered. No. No, no, no. Not today. She watched Mom Nkechi scanning the crowd, not yet seeing her. And Amara made her choice, fast and terrible, the way fear always makes choices. She took Mrs. Beatrice's arm tighter and turned her away from Mom Nkechi's direction, steering her toward the hall in trance quickly. She told herself, if I don't look, maybe nothing will happen. Maybe she would just watch from far away and leave. If you were in Amara's position, would you be proud of your mother, or would you hide her? Be honest, drop your answer in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe if this story is already touching you. The ceremony was moving smoothly. The principal gave a speech. The teachers were honored. Students received awards one by one, and the hall filled with applause after every name. Amara's section was coming up. She sat in the front row of students, her hands clasped tightly in her lap, her smile practiced and perfect. Mrs. Beatrice sat among the parents, playing her role beautifully. Everything was going according to plan. Then someone tapped Kayameka's shoulder. A neighbor who knew Mom Nkechi from the market had come with another family. She leaned over to Kayameka and said quietly, "Is that not Amara's real mother? The market woman. She is standing outside." Kayameka blinked. What? Amara said her mother manages a business. Business? The woman shook her head. I know that woman. She sells vegetables in the market every day. She has been raising Amara alone for years. Kayameka's eyes went wide. She looked toward the back of the hall, and through the open doors, she could see Mom Nkechi standing outside in her green and gold wrapper, watching quietly. Kayameka looked at Mrs. Beatrice sitting with the parents. Then she looked back outside. Her mouth opened slowly. At that moment, the door at the back of the hall swung open. Mom Nkechi had finally decided to step inside, just for a moment, just to see clearly. She walked in softly, the way humble people always move, not wanting to disturb anyone. But the hall was arranged such that she had to pass near the front to find a standing spot. And that was when Amara turned her head. Their eyes met. And the whole world, at least Amara's whole world, shattered. Several students and parents near the back turned to look at the woman who had just walked in. Mom Nkechi stood still, her eyes filled with soft tears and a proud smile, looking only at her daughter. Amara stood up from her seat. Her friends were watching. Her teachers were watching. And without thinking, driven by years of shame and seconds of panic, she walked quickly toward her mother. And in a loud, clear voice that carried across the hall, she said, "Excuse me. This woman is not with our party. She is my maid." The hall went silent. Mom Nkechi's smile disappeared. Her tears, which had been tears of pride, became something else entirely. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The hall was so quiet that you could hear the ceiling fan turning slowly above. Everyone was looking at Amara, at the woman in the green and gold wrapper, at the burn scars visible on her hands. Some people leaned toward each other and whispered. Some covered their mouths. Some of the mothers near the back pressed their hands to their chest. A child somewhere near the door began to cry softly, the way children sometimes cry when they feel something bad has happened even if they don't understand exactly what. Mom Nkechi stood completely still. Her eyes were steady. Her hands, those scarred, hard-working hands, hung quietly at her sides. She did not shout. She did not make a scene. She looked at Amara for a long, long moment with eyes full of a pain that words cannot carry. Then she turned slowly toward the door, the way a person turns when they have decided to leave a place quietly and never return. The crowd near the door parted to let her pass. And Amara watched her go, exhaling with something she mistook for relief, not yet understanding that what she was actually feeling was the beginning of the rest of her life's regret. But then, Mama Nkechi stopped. She stopped right there at the edge of the hall, one hand on the door frame. Her back was to everyone. She stood still for a moment. And something happened inside her, something quiet and deep and final, like a decision being made at the bottom of a river. She turned around. She walked back in. This time, she did not walk humbly. She did not walk with her eyes down. She walked slowly, with the kind of dignity that belongs to people who have survived things most people cannot imagine. She walked to the front of the hall. And when she reached the microphone stand, she turned to face everyone, and she spoke. "My name," she said, in a voice that was soft but filled the entire hall, "is Nkechi. And that young woman," she pointed gently toward Amara, "is my daughter. My only daughter. The one I have loved every day of my life." The hall erupted in murmurs. Amara stood frozen, her face drained of all color. Kayameka reached for her arm. But Amara could not move. She could only stand and watch as her mother, her real mother, the one she had tried so hard to hide, prepared to tell the truth. Mama Nkechi raised one hand slowly, the one with the worst scars, and held it up so the whole hall could see. The burn marks ran from her wrist up toward her elbow, old and healed but never truly gone. The hall went completely silent again, but this time the silence was different. It was the silence of a room full of people holding their breath. "These scars," Mama Nkechi said quietly, "came from a fire. Amara was 4 years old. We were sleeping in our house one night when the kitchen caught fire. It spread quickly, so quickly I had no time to think. I only knew one thing. My daughter was in that room." She paused. She did not cry. Her voice was steady, the way the voice of a person becomes steady when they are speaking the most important truth of their life. "I ran into the fire. I pulled her out. My hands and neck burned while I carried her. But she did not have a single mark. Not one. I made sure of it." Someone in the crowd began to cry. Then another person. Then another. After the fire, Mama Nkechi continued, "I had nothing. The house was damaged. I had no money. But I had my daughter. So I went to the market. I sold vegetables. I sold pepper. I sold anything I could carry. I woke up before sunrise every single day. I skipped meals so she could eat. I borrowed money so she could go to school. I walked long distances when I had no bus fare. I did everything, so that she could stand in this hall today and receive that certificate." She looked directly at Amara now. Her eyes were not angry. They were simply, completely full of love. "That is all I ever wanted. To see her succeed. Even if she never looked back at me." The hall was in tears. Teachers were crying. Parents were crying. Students were crying. A man near the back who had never met either of them was wiping his face with his sleeve. Mrs. Beatrice, the hired woman, had quietly gathered her bag and slipped out of her seat, ashamed. And Amara, who had spent years building walls and lying and running, stood in the middle of it all and felt every single wall inside her crack open at once. She felt the lies peel away. She felt the years of shame dissolve. And beneath all of it, finally, she felt the truth, the raw, burning, beautiful truth, that the woman she had spent her whole life being ashamed of was the greatest person she had ever known. For a moment, nobody moved. The hall was still. Mama Nkechi lowered her hand slowly. She had said everything. There was nothing left to say. She looked at her daughter one last time, not with anger, not with the desire to shame her, but with the look of a woman who loves too deeply to stop, even when she has been broken. She gave a small nod, the kind that says I forgive you already, and then she turned toward the door once more. Mama. The word came out of Amara like something had been torn from inside her. It was not a word. It was a cry. A sound she had been holding in for years without knowing it. She stepped forward. Then she stepped again. And then she ran the way people run when they realize they almost lost something they can never replace. She pushed past the rows of chairs, past the stunned faces, past everything, until she reached her mother at the door and grabbed her and held on with both arms, the way she must have held on when she was 4 years old and the fire was all around them. I'm sorry, Mama, she sobbed. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. She said it over and over, each time pressing her face deeper into her mother's shoulder. Mama Nkechi's arms wrapped around her slowly, then tightly, then completely. She held her daughter the way she had always held her, without asking for anything in return. They all watched in absolute silence. And then, beginning with one person near the back, then two, then the whole room, people began to clap. Not the polite clap of ceremony. The deep, full, grateful clap of people who have witnessed something real. The principal stepped forward and gently guided Mama Nkechi toward the stage. She was given the seat of honor. When Amara's name was called and she walked across the stage to receive her certificate, she did not look at the crowd. She looked only at her mother. And Mama Nkechi looked back at her with eyes that shone, not with tears of pain this time, but with the tears of a woman whose sacrifice had finally been seen. As Amara held the certificate in her hands, she understood for the first time what it truly meant. It was not paper. It was every meal her mother had skipped. Every early morning. Every long walk. Every quiet prayer. Every scar. And after the ceremony, as they walked out together into the afternoon light, the real mother and her daughter, Amara held Mama Nkechi's scarred hand in both of hers and did not let go. The people who saw them whispered among themselves. Old Mama Chioma, who had traveled to the city that day with a quiet hope, watched them from a distance and smiled. She finally saw, she whispered to herself. The child finally saw. And the sun sat soft and warm above them both, the way it always does on the days when lost things are finally found, and love, after everything it has endured, wins. If this story touched your heart, don't just scroll away, subscribe for more stories that remind us what truly matters in life.